Thank you. Thank you, Bill, and I want to thank all the governors who are here. My, what a great attendance of governors right here in our opening session. Thank you for being here. And I did want to take a point of personal privilege. The anthem singer that just sang our wonderful national anthem, that's D.C. Washington. He's from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He now resides in the Washington, D.C. area, but he's been a friend for a long time, and he just does an outstanding job. I'm very proud of him and our relationship. It's an honor for me to serve as chair of this year, and Bill in his introduction failed to mention one thing, and that is that under Arkansas law, we have 2 4-year terms, and I am term limited at the end of this year. Now, I make the case that my grandson plays basketball at the collegiate level, and he gets an extra year because of COVID. And so I think that all of us governors ought to have an extra year of eligibility. But there might be a few people that object to this. I want to express my appreciation to the Vice Chair, Phil Murphy. He is tied up in snow duty in his state, obviously what a governor does, but he's been a good partner, and wanted to extend my well wishes to him on behalf of all the governors for what the Northeast is going through right now. Hope he'll be in later today. I also thank the Executive Committee and the task forces that are leading so well, and you put in extra hours, so thank you for that. Bill McBride, by the way, has done a great job of organizing this, has done a good job as Executive Director, and let's express our appreciation to him as well. Governors have proven to be a powerful voice in our nation over the last 2 years particularly, but in a whole host of issues. And education is an issue that we lead on and that brings us together. We're all supportive of improving the education of our young people. Today, we have a historical opportunity as governors to prepare our young people to succeed in the digital world in which they live. And that is the reason I chose as my chairman's initiative to work with you to expand K-12 computer science education. This matters. It matters to our state, to our young people, and to our nation. With 609,000 open computing jobs nationwide, they're needed. But it's also a national security issue that we face. The options are simple. We can either fall behind as a nation if we do not have the computing skills of the future, or we can borrow the talent from overseas and say we're just going to utilize that, which is not a good option. And the third option, of course, is to produce our own talent, and that is what we're trying to do as governors. It's a national security issue because of the cyber threats that we face as well. And so as a result of that, when I became governor in 2015, we passed a law, first of all, to mandate that computer science be offered in every high school in Arkansas. It did not take long to us to say we got to incorporate our lower grades in the curriculum for computer science. But we didn't require anyone to take it. It was offered. And so, yes, as governor, I went to over 80 high schools. I knocked on doors. I talked to students and say, we need your talent. We need to have you taking computer science. As a result, we had 1,100 students approximately taking computer science in 2015 when this initiative started. That is now over 13,000 students in Arkansas taking computer science. That's a 770% increase, and the number of young women enrolled has jumped from 294 up, increase of 1,300%. Minority students have gone from 600 to 5,212, an increase of 700%, and on down the list. Most importantly, teachers, instructors have gone from less than 20 in Arkansas to almost 600. That is essential to get the job done. I love the story of the French teacher who said, well, if I can teach French, surely I can learn computers and coding. It's just another language. Well, she did, and she's made a difference in students' lives. Last year, I signed into legislation a law that requires at least one computer science course in order to graduate from high school. Now, only South Carolina and Nevada joined Arkansas, and they preceded us, to their credit. So there's 3 states now that require that. And so this will also require, the law will require every high school to employ at least one certified computer science teacher. We're investing money in that every day. And I want to thank code.org for their leadership that really measures us nationally and is sort of the national voice to expand computer science education. And Cameron Wilson, I believe, is here today, Chief Operating Officer. Cameron, thank you for your work. Please give Cameron a round of applause. Now, we're interested in creating jobs, and so sure we want to educate them, but I'm thinking this lead to technology jobs in Arkansas. And I had an opportunity this last year to go to Israel. And as I went to Israel, I got to speak at the Future of Mobility conference led by the Prime Minister. And there we had the Minister of Transportation for Israel spoke first and said that we're trying to get passed in the Knesset a law to allow piloting of autonomous vehicles. And I said, I knew that was the clue, that was the opening I needed. I got to follow her and say that in Arkansas, we passed that same law in 2019, and today we are not only piloting, but we're using autonomous vehicles without a safety driver for the delivery of goods from the warehouse to the store. That is what technology can do. That's the talent pool that we have to fill. These jobs of the future, including autonomous vehicles, and the computer science need that we have is illustrated by the fact that it is mandatory for students to take computer science in 44 countries. But in the United States, it is only offered in 51% of our high schools. So we do have a lot to do. Let me move quickly because we have a very distinguished panel that I want to introduce the moderator in shortly. But I want to offer you 4 keys that is important for us being successful in computer science education. One is you can do it through your Commissioner of Education or your Secretary of Education or by executive order as an option to increase computer science education. We chose the legislative route because it gives you a broader level of support to initiate it and to fund it. And that's the second admonition I would have is have a dedicated funding stream. Small state like Arkansas, we're putting $5 million. It started with every biennium. We've increased that amount, but that allows the stipends for teachers to pay for professional development. It allows money for students to take, if they pass an AP computer science course and test well on it, they get some money out of it. And so it's really been helpful. Have a dedicated funding stream. Have a state office and a dedicated office geared toward computer science. We have that in Arkansas. And then lead in it. You either have to be out there or you have to have your Commissioner of Education working on this day in and day out. The story in Arkansas, of course, is if you're a superintendent, don't get a call from the governor because the governor is asking them how many students they have taking computer science. And I did that. Let me outline 5 policy goals because I believe when you have an initiative, you ought to be able to measure it. And so the goals are, first of all, we want as a nation to increase the number of high schools offering computer science. Secondly, we want to increase the number of governors who are members of our Governors for Computer Science. I believe we have 15 now. We want to increase the amount of state funding for computer science education. We can measure that. We want to increase the number of states that require at least one computer science credit for high school graduation. Right now there's 3. I hope that we can convene again, we can measure progress. And to increase the diversity of students that participate in computer science. It needs to be for everyone. So in support of this initiative, we're going to have 3 regional roundtables and spend time on this topic at our summer meeting as well. We've already been to Denver. Great to be there and talk about computer science. A number of governors were there. We'll also be in Bentonville, Arkansas, and then we will be also in Boston, Massachusetts, Governor Baker hosting us there. So I hope that you'll either be there or send someone representing your state. And then we also, at this winter meeting, the NGA will be sharing with you a draft compact for governors to review that will be focused on committing to expand access to computer science education in our states. We'll unveil that statement with the signatories at the summer meeting as we conclude this initiative at that time. Governors can lead in this area. We have 15 members in our Governor's Caucus for this. We want to grow that, and you can help us to do it. And so with that, I hope that you can sense a level of excitement on my part. I believe that we as governors can make a difference in our state and for our nation and for our future.